Have you ever felt perfectly fine with your progress until you opened social media? Have you ever watched someone else succeed and suddenly felt like you were failing? Ben knew that feeling too well. At 28, he was talented, disciplined, and quietly ambitious. He worked as a freelance designer while building his own creative brand. Then comparison entered his life like a slow poison, and it started stealing his focus piece by piece. Every morning began the same way: coffee in one hand, phone in the other. He scrolled past designers his age, announcing six-figure launches. He saw polished studios, brand deals, and overnight success stories. At first, he told himself it was motivation. Soon, it became measurement. He stopped asking, "Am I improving?" He started asking, "Am I ahead or behind?" The shift was subtle. The damage was not. Ben began redesigning projects halfway through. Not because they were bad, but because someone else's work looked better. Deadlines slipped. Confidence thinned. He spent more time analyzing competitors than refining his own craft. His focus fractured into pieces. Clients noticed the inconsistency. One major contract quietly ended. Ben blamed the economy. Deep down, he knew the truth. Comparison had hijacked his attention. Instead of building, he was benchmarking. He refreshed Instagram between design drafts. He checked analytics more than he checked quality. At night, he replayed other people's wins in his mind. His own progress felt invisible. He started rushing projects to keep up. The details he once obsessed over became afterthoughts. Another client left, then another. The creative spark that once excited him began to fade. Design felt heavy. He wasn't tired from work. He was exhausted from comparison. One evening, he opened a post from a former classmate. The caption read, "Hard work finally paying off." Thousands of likes filled the screen. For the first time, envy turned into resentment, and resentment crushed concentration. The breaking point came during a live pitch with a potential client. Halfway through presenting, his mind drifted. He suddenly imagined how another designer would present better. His voice lost conviction. The client thanked him politely. They chose someone else. Ben walked home under city lights that felt unusually cold. For the first time, he questioned if he was actually talented. That night, he opened his portfolio and compared it side by side with others. The exercise didn't inspire him. It paralyzed him. He considered quitting freelance work entirely. Maybe he wasn't meant for this. Maybe he had peaked too early. As he prepared to archive his creative account, something caught his attention. An old folder labeled Year 1. He opened it reluctantly. Inside were his earliest designs. They were imperfect. Back then, he wasn't comparing. He was experimenting. He was obsessed with getting better than yesterday. There were no analytics. There was only focus. Ben leaned back in his chair slowly. He realized comparison hadn't just hurt his confidence. It had destroyed his concentration. And without focus, talent meant nothing. That realization felt uncomfortable, but it also felt freeing. The next morning, Ben did something radical. He deleted social media from his phone for 30 days. No scrolling before coffee. No checking who was ahead. He created a new rule. The only person he would compete with was yesterday's version of himself. He tracked hours of deep work instead of likes. He measured completed projects instead of follower growth. But slowly, ideas returned. Details began to matter again. He rediscovered the joy of refining typography. He lost himself in color palettes for hours. Focus came back like a muscle being retrained, stronger each day. A month later, his work looked sharper. Not trendier, but more intentional. Clients noticed the difference. New contracts arrived without aggressive promotion. Ben understood something most people ignore. Comparison doesn't just steal happiness. It steals attention. And attention is the foundation of mastery. The world will always show you someone ahead. There will always be a bigger studio, a bigger launch, a bigger audience. But when you stop measuring sideways, your energy moves forward. And forward is where growth lives. Ben still sees other designers online, but he no longer lets them define his pace. He wakes up, makes his coffee, and opens his design files first. The phone stays face down because he learned the hard way. Comparison kills focus, and without focus, nothing meaningful gets built. But with focus, even ordinary talent becomes extraordinary over time. If this story felt personal, that's because it probably is. If you're tired of feeling behind, if you're tired of measuring your worth through someone else's timeline, then this channel is for you. We talk about focus, discipline, self-mastery, and building a life that moves forward, not sideways. Subscribe if you're ready to compete with yesterday's version of yourself, because your growth deserves your full attention.